Good afternoon, and welcome to the BrightWord Books Podcast. I'm your host, John, and today a very special guest. Mr. Michael Allen Bell is here to talk about his new book, 4040 40 Years of Career Life Advice in 40 Minutes. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Michael, and I must say you have a terrific background. I see that you are a cybersecurity risk advisor, application developer, and computer science instructor with over 40 years of experience. In addition to a bachelor's in mathematics, you have a master's in computer science, and you specialize in software project effort estimation. So, welcome to the podcast, Michael. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
It's great to speak with you. And maybe to start off, 4040, what's the book about, and what did you hope to achieve in writing it?
So I've always kept a log, I say always, for many years. I've kept a list of lessons learned on the job, and it's grown quite long. And the impression came that I should take it and organize it and put it out for others to use. I've always wanted to write a book, and so it seemed like, okay, here's the opportunity. That's what led to the book.
Terrific. And so, as someone who's interested in learning from you with your 40 years of advice, what could I get from the book as a consumer? Are there things that I can apply in my life, learning from your lessons?
I certainly hope so. I tried to make it as broad and comprehensive as I knew how. There are short lessons. It's deliberately short. I didn't want to write War and Peace, but there's short lessons on project execution, conditions for success, patterns, personal interaction, how to tell truth and error apart, how to foster participation, a lot of insightful analogies, just a little teeny bit about cybersecurity, but nothing that can't also be applied to broader fields of effort.
Excellent, excellent. So it sounds like there's something for everyone in the book, something that we could all apply in our lives. And I guess I'm guessing as well, Michael, that there's not one single magic answer to success in life. It sounds like what you've learned over the years is that there's a lot to be learned, and what you've tried to do is distill perhaps the most important lessons that you can share.
It's meant to be kind of a catchy title to the book,
Hmm.
40 Years in 40 Minutes. It was a 40-page draft before it got cast into the 6x9 paperback format. So it's a few more pages. And your mileage may vary. It may take a given individual more than 40 minutes to read. Goodreads has it at about an hour and a half. I know I have friends that could go through it like that. And so anyway, it's again, your mileage may vary, but
Wonderful.
it's it's meant to be as wide a breadth of things that contribute to success. Again, I kept my lessons file just as they came, and one of the challenges was taking all that long list of material and organizing it. So I tried to like put it into categories that make sense. Some of the items actually would pertain to more than one category, but when you do an index, you have to organize it somehow or other. You probably can't see it here. Anyway, it's meant to be as comprehensive as possible, beginning with key lessons and then ending with what's most important in life with a lot of patterns and practical application in between.
Wonderful, wonderful. And can you give us a sneak peek? What is most important, or can you share perhaps in your experience or your life what has ended up being the most important lesson?
Well, I end the book with the most important aspect of life, which is forgiveness and judgment. After that, I started with key lessons, particularly, well, a set of things that sort of transcend categories. And then toward the end of the book, but before that last section, I have the themes that emerged, which primarily have to do with, so I can get to it here.
No problem.
Time's the most precious commodity we have. Collaboration and cooperation are the keys to success. indispensable to achieving desired outcomes. Communication is the key to success. Unless you communicate within a project, there have to be boundaries because you have to manage time, and depending on the area you work, there may be other aspects of discipline that have to be applied. But within those barriers, open communication contributes to the best product. Consistency, flexibility, striving for excellence, all these sound like tropes, but indeed, after several decades of work, these are the things that have emerged as being common denominators for achieving good success.
Excellent. Sounds very intriguing. How about, have you heard others give advice, like career advice, that perhaps you think here in 2025 is now outdated or even harmful to folks, to younger people that you've heard out there?
So, I mean, I would like, you know, you hear the kind of things that commonly say that nice guys finish last. I think nice guys finish and last and go on. Secondly, geniuses work alone. We're taught that in school. You know, Galileo and Newton and Einstein, they all sat in a room and just thought up great stuff. When I think it's always been this way, but particularly today, smart people work with other people, and smart people and non-smart people, everyone can contribute. But it's teams that get things done. Work is teamwork nowadays. And the third myth, if you will, is that the ends justify the means. How you get something done is as important, sometimes more important, than the achievement itself.
Good advice. How you do it is as important or more important than what you've done.
Because the most important thing a person builds and keeps and should maintain is their personal reputation. It's the most valuable asset somebody has.
Absolutely. Do you ever have moments of doubt about your own principles or your strategies?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that and how you overcame those?
So what pulls me through is self-reflection, trying to understand where something went wrong, what went wrong, try to learn from history but not wallow in it, understanding the role that I can play, which for myself and I think for others is what people can do to help other people succeed and achieve and contribute is more important or as important as their own individual contribution. So, that's the kind of thing that pulls me through is like when I'm doubting myself, is like, no, I have a role to play. I just need to try to find it rather than make it happen in a natural fashion.
Absolutely. Talk about influencing when you don't have a title or you're not the top dog. How can a person achieve influence and affect others, affect outcomes if they're not on the top of the list? They're not the most important person.
I've had to do that a lot in my years. It's been actually fairly seldom that I've had the boss title. But this quotes in the book that leadership is movement, not position. That is to say, everyone can exert a leadership role, even if they don't have the boss title on, their desk or like that way. Uh, Knowing how to listen, knowing when and how to add value and contribute, knowing how to deliver capability versus just opinions. These things lead to influence and advancement. I've noted oftentimes that the people that have the best success career wise are those that produce valuable capabilities and deliver versus people with just opinions.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting that you mentioned being a good listener. I think that is so underrated. And it's been said that I forget what the percentage is, but it's pretty high 70, 80, 90% of people, when they're speaking, they're not listening to understand
Hmm.
so much as they're plotting what their response is going to be. They're already working on, what I'm going to say in response or how I'm going to respond even more effectively or one up them. It's a shame. I think I don't know what the cause is, but It seems like our society, we're so focused on going quick that nobody has time to listen to one another, and you miss the message, and it actually can lead to conflict and dispute.
Indeed. And I think a lot of people, particularly starting out, or those that have just achieved leadership status, middle tier or like that way, they'll go into and they'll ask a question, and they'll keep talking and keep talking and keep talking. And it doesn't allow time for communication and dialogue to occur. And, one of the things I point out is you should um, uh, ask a question, stop talking, listen.
Let me ask you, have you ever had to deal with naysayers, negative personalities, or even bullies? People who were opposed to the group making progress. Do you have any thoughts on that or any suggestions for how to deal with negative people?
Well, so there's all kinds of there are many different kinds of negative people. Bullies, I have a hard time dealing with. Someone who's chronically negative, my motto is don't be against something without being for something better. In other words, okay, just if you don't like something, okay, what's the better alternative? Go for that. Now, if you're in a like client customer situation, um, you have someone who's difficult. My feeling is, and this is in the book, people who are a problem are commonly people with a problem, and they feel like they have a legitimate grievance. If you're an action officer for something that's involved in their complaint, or if you can connect them with the people that can help them, sometimes by being empathetic, by listening, by offering positive advice, and being ready to offer the next positive step, the link or the the call to get resolution, rather than I don't have time for this, blow off. You know, those people can seize victory from the jaws of defeat. And the last thing I'll say along this line is, it's in the Bible, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. And how you answer someone is as important, more important than what you say. And, just okay, staying calm under fire. And, just if someone wants to lob metaphorically a hand grenade out and obligate you to jump on it, you can, okay, well, just step back, take a pause, and okay, how can we navigate around this versus let it degenerate into an argument? Now, some people, there are times when you have to walk away. Some people, they'd rather fight than switch, and detachment and distance, I think, is the answer to those situations.
Otherwise, you can burn up a lot of energy trying to get through. Right?
Correct. And wreck your credibility with others who are watching the encounter.
Absolutely. It's been said, Michael, that there's a thin line between confidence and outright arrogance. Do you have any thoughts? I mean, I'm sure you've seen both in your time. And any thoughts about how people walk the line between confidence in what they're doing and arrogance to the point where they feel like they're better than anyone?
Well, I've encountered folks of that nature. I think for your own self, understanding that everyone is a potential contributor, that anyone is likely to be able to contribute to the positively to the outcome. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Chronically arrogant, full of themselves. I couldn't offer advice about how to cure that. Just that, okay, I would say just don't be that person. Don't fall in line. Don't become that person in the process of dealing with that person. Gets in line with that difficult person who is a problem with a problem scenario. All the tools have to be available and pulled out of the box as needed to deal with the situation. It's not a complete answer, but it's only what
No,
I can
makes
offer.
good sense. Makes good sense. Do you think there are unspoken lessons, Michael, things that need to be said perhaps more in life or in society that are not said that it would behoove, I think, society in general if they were spoken to more often?
Yeah, I think, like, again, in the career context, it sounds silly. Like, what are you, like, stupid? Yeah. It took me a long time to learn that aggravating the boss, creating waves, is not the path to career success. I think a lot of our entertainment, books, TV, movies, and so on, internet, program people to act out. That, they watch the drama and that's what they bring to work, when drama is not valued in the workplace. Again, some of the key lessons are for the boss, wasting the boss's time is never appreciated. Well, I'm showing myself as being interested and engaged and having all kinds of bubbly, great ideas. When the boss's lens is saying, this is not what I need to get done today, you're distracting me. You're wasting my time. And,
Not on the
drama
same
wastes
wavelength.
time. Right. Low value communication wastes time. Irrelevant facts. That's like, yeah, that's right, but it doesn't matter from my point of view, the boss. And so, particularly people starting out, they come in thinking, okay, they've learned the latest technology in school and in college and so on. And they come in thinking with, again, this arrogance piece, thinking that, they're going to like set the world on fire. When in fact, a large part of every problem scape is not just the technique and the technology, but it's also the personal factor and putting it into a customer context. And there isn't enough of that kind of training, I think, in the educational system to get people to operate in that kind of team and socially aware way of doing things. It's not, it's not politically correct ideas. It's practical benefit of knowing how to get things done efficiently and maintain that team mentality.
Michael, it has been a fascinating discussion. I know our time is running down, but before I let you go, any other thoughts you want to share with our listeners and viewers today?
4040, it's available online, Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, and Durant's. And if you like it, I encourage people to get it. If you like it, leave a review and, tell your friends. If it doesn't work for you, pass it on to somebody who can benefit from it. I think this is not for everybody, but there are a great many people, particularly people starting out, starting over, or that could just benefit from that extra bit of advice, that can benefit from the book. They tell the story that it's a common thing on the internet, the baseball analogy, how they say, okay, if you're a major league player and you have a 2.5 batting average, and then you're going to make $1 million a year. If you're going to a 3.00 average, you might make 3.5, $4 million a year. The difference is over the course of a baseball season, one extra hit a week, just one extra hit a week. And so, if this book and the advice in it, or other kinds of advice that you can pick up, can help you improve your game a little bit, over time, it can accrue to great benefit.
Michael, it's been a fascinating discussion. Thank you so much for being with us and for sharing. And I know that our listeners and viewers will be eager to get a hand on 4040. We've been speaking with Michael Allen Bell, author of 4040, 40 Years of Career Life Advice in 40 Minutes. A brief but very intriguing book, and I think it behooves all of us to pick up a copy and learn what you've picked up in the past 40 years. Michael, thank you so much for being with us.
It's been a pleasure, and I hope. Uh, anyway, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.